ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي ربي زدني علما رب ارزقني علما اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه وتوكل الله وكفى بالله وكيلا سبحان الله وبحمده سبحان الله العظيم الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر الله أكبر ولله الحمد. So there is a khamoshi that we're seeking, there is a sukoon that we're seeking. And we are not being able to find it because the places that we're seeking it in are not places of khamoshi, they're not places of sukoon, they're not places of khair. And the reason why I say that is because we seek silence, we seek peace, we seek sukoon in through this body and through this mind in this world that is a third-dimensional world, three-dimensional world, in a third-dimensional reality. So it's like we are looking to pluck grapes in the desert, and grapes don't grow in the desert. It's like we're looking to fly a kite underwater. Kites don't fly underwater. So the places that we're looking for this sukoon and this silence, this deep knowing, this clarity, because sukoon within it contains clarity. Sukoon within it creates an absolute knowing, which does not sway with the vicissitudes of the wind or the world. It's an absolute clarity and this absolute knowing that we're seeking at all times. Why we're seeking it is because we know it. Why we're seeking it because it is our truth. Why we're seeking it is because that's who we are. Why we're seeking it is because we remember that we are souls, and it is the clarity that we're seeking, the sukoon that we're seeking is the property of the soul. It is not the property of the human body. It is not the property of the human mind. It is not the property of this dunya. But somehow, because we're used to being human beings first, we tend to want to do things to get peace. We tend to want to do things to reach to that place of silence and to create that space for ourselves. But doing is not the property of the soul. The property of the soul is being. The property of the soul is easing back into a knowing and a clarity that it's been born with. The property of the soul is a strong, sure, clear, light lake of the heart. That's what the soul feels like, constant and clear and sure at all times and confident. That's the soul part of us. And I want us to feel into how, as we begin to live human life and how we've been taught to live human life, it's like there is a beautiful, still lake, quiet part of us. And at all times, we are jumping out of that lake and running ahead as water molecules or water droplets or waves even towards something else. So there is a forward moving momentum to the human experience of us, but the lake soul of us is a quiet, strong, simple solitude. So this forward moving momentum that we call life, that we call relationships, that we call professions, that we call progress, that we call achievement or any kind of accomplishment, this forward moving momentum is not real to the soul. But somehow we're seeking the silence of the soul that we have left behind. We're seeking that silence in the waves of us, in the forward moving momentum of us. This is antithetical, these are antitheses of each other. They're diametrically opposite. We can't receive the silence of the soul in the forward moving momentum of the lake, of the waves. We can't seek it because it's not its property. So what are we asked to do? Because in this forward moving momentum, which is called life, there is illusion. That's the nature of the wave. The forward moving momentum, this life is illusionary. That's where everything that is not real exists here. everything that is real exists in the late light of us, in the soul of us. Everything that is not real exists in the forward momentum. Everything that is real exists in the late light of us. So when we move forward with this desire to live, desire to be happy, desire to be at peace, desire to live here, desire to be with them, desire to have this, desire to possess, desire to get this and this and this. All nature of desire, at the heart of it, at the core of it, is an illusion. Because all nature of desire is designed to take us away from the late light of the soul. It is as if we have a beautiful, beautiful home, which has been designed, custom designed for us, with our favorite colors and our favorite furniture and our favorite corners and our favorite smells. But somehow one day we decide to pack up our bags and begin to leave that house and want to travel the world. Now, that would have been okay, except that as we begin to step on to travel the world, we are seeking the house that we have left behind. That's the tension point. We're looking for the same corners that we left behind. We're looking for the same smells that we left behind. We're looking for the same beds that we've slept on. We're looking for the same kind of silence that we have known in our own homes. Somehow we're seeking the familiarity of the home that we have left behind as we begin to travel. And it's this tension point that wraps our brain with the blindfolds of illusion. Because this is what I want us to tune into. As souls, we know that home. As we are born into this world, we know this home. We carry that home, the one that's custom designed for us, within ourselves. As we begin to grow older, we begin to want things because we want to get aware of the attractiveness and the lights of the world and the offerings of the world, the stalls of the world. They begin to beckon to us. And we begin to think that we want this and this and this and this and this. And so we decide, say, we make a list, we make a bucket list of the 10 things that we want. And of course, those bucket lists will change when we are 6 years old or 10 years old or 14 years old or 45 years old or 85 years old. But we'll always have a bucket list of things that we want. And had it been for the fact that the desire, like we just wanted those things, had it been for just the pure desire of it, it would have been okay. But somehow, and I really want us to feel into it because that's the truth of human life. Somehow in each of those 10 things that we want, we're still trying to, in some way, recapture the smell of that home, the sofas of that home, the corners of that home, the rugs of, like, somehow all of those desires, 10 or 15 or 16, have a remnant of the home that we know in our heart that we have, and we're searching for that home in those desires. And through those desires, we're still searching for that home. But those desires are not meant to give us that home, but yes, because the forward momentum of the waves, which is human life, is barhaq. It is what we chose. As we begin to tune into the actual purpose of the desire, we begin to realize that all desires in this dunya are always meant to take us back home when we actually begin to receive the wisdom of the desire. So that means that we perhaps think that we really want to shift to that country. And if we know that this desire over time and begin to know, yes, we want to shift to that country. And we have many logical reasons as to why we want to shift to that country. But as we begin to sit down and look at what we call the wisdom of that desire, why do I want to shift to that? Once we eliminate the logical reasoning and we begin to come to the soul of why we want to shift to that country, you'd begin to receive. There is again a sense of ease that you're looking for, or a sense of flow that you're looking for, that you believe you will find in that country, which is why you want to shift in that country. But essentially, what you're looking for is a sense of ease and a sense of flow that you are not being able to find here. But when we tune in, and that's the wisdom of the desire. So that means that every time we want something, the first question that we ask ourselves is, why do we want what we want, after we're done with the logical reasoning around it? Logical reasoning must be had, because we will always have 15 excellent reasons of why we want what we want. And they will all be justified. And if you'd share that reasoning with your closest friends or with absolute strangers, they would validate our reasoning for us. Yes, they're justified for all 15 points. But once we've gone through those 15 logical points, now sit back and say, okay, if none of those logical points were true, what is behind and underneath these logical points? We begin to receive the wisdom of the desire, that you are asking for ease. You feel you would get better support. You'd feel you get more opportunities to be loved, to be seen, to be heard there. Why? Because you're not feeling supported, you're not feeling loved or seen here. So then if you're not feeling loved and seen and supported here, you also will not find it there. You will not find it there. So the wisdom of the desire is, hey, Madiha, sit here exactly where you are, exactly where you are. And notice, ask your Allah, ask your creator to open up avenues of how to receive ease and flow and support right here, exactly where you are. And what is said कि when एक होता है कि एक प्यासा कुएं के पास जाते हैं और दूसरा होता है कि वो कुआं प्यासे के पास आता है. So प्यासे का कुआं के पास जाना is human life. कुआं के प्यासे के पास आना is the birthright of the soul, and it is granted to us as a special gift and as a unique divine gift from Allah. Because when the thirsty person goes to in search of that well, it's a desire for quenching that thirst that's taking us there. And there's an entire journey to be had through that, but it's not going to be an easy journey. It's a valid journey, but it's not an easy journey. So a few years of our life, what we call the first 40 years of our life, are okay if we spend as thirsty travelers going towards and searching for those wells. It's okay. But there comes a time when your soul wants to be seen and heard and known more by you. And by your soul, I mean your creator, your Allah. He wants to be seen and heard and loved more by you. And that point, you are asked to sit exactly where you are and allow the well to come to you. And that is when you begin to be deeply interested in the nature of your desire and the wisdom of your desire. And that is also when you never actually begin to ever trust your desire. You never trust your desire. Never, because the layers that we have wrapped around ourselves throughout our human journey are layers which become our blind spots. If we were to go to a therapist or a healer of any sort, because they're the outsider, they'd be able to look at those layers, perhaps, if you allow them. But to our own selves, no matter how evolved we think we are, no matter how spiritually enlightened we think we are, no matter how deeply self-aware we think we have blind spots. And those blind spots are equal to, if there were ever an equation in the world, let this equation be simple today. Blind spot is equal to desire. And it's a gift. The blind spots are a gift. Once we begin to look at them as gifts, because when blind spots are equal to our own soul blind spots, what are those blind spots? And I'll first go back to what are blind spots. Why blind spots are equal to gifts? Because blind spots are equal to desire is because it's only by you having, and I really want us to feel into this. It's only by us having a desire that we cannot trust can we most intimately begin to know our blind spots. It is only by receiving the desires that we know we can't trust? Can we use that desire that we cannot trust to go into the deeper truth of understanding why the desire came to be to begin with, understanding our own blind spots? And now the blind spots are the wounds. And they are not, and again, the wounds have such, I would like to shift, perhaps use another word for wounds, because the stimuli around wounds is so tangible and so traceable. Like you can see wounds, you can touch wounds, you can even if you're talking about energetic or heart or soul wounds, you can trace them, right? The wound of grief, the wound of rejection, the wound of loneliness, you can intellectually, you can trace them, you can identify them based on the lives that we have led. But we cannot, because wounds are not meant to be looked at and treated intellectually. That's allopathy. It's only when we are ready to receive the deeper wisdom of that wound, which has nothing to do with logic, but is to do with the fact that we are human beings to begin with. The wound of rejection that we are meant to experience throughout our lives, through different relationships, is the primary wound of rejection that a human being carries, believing that they have been rejected by their creator. The wound of abandonment is a primary wound that every human being carries, in the belief that they have been abandoned by their creator. Why? Because these are soul wounds. They happened at the very beginning of our human experience. Life didn't even need to happen for us. We were born. Subhanallah, there is a hadith which is not authentic, and therefore I cannot quote it as a hadith, but it really beautifully, it just resonates for me. It comes from the Sufi silsila. And the hadith is, as the soul makes its journey towards, through the mother's womb, into being born into this world, there are 70 veils that it passes. 70. And in each moment that it passes, each veil, it loses a part of its noor and it gains a part of darkness. Subhanallah, in every veil that we cross, traveling through that womb, we feel it's a womb travel. It's a journey of the soul as we travel through the wombs of our mother into the world. And as pure, resonant, full noor of Allah as we begin to make our way towards the dunya. For each parda that we cross, we lose a part of our noor and we gain a part of our darkness. And so a part of our journey is loss, a big part of our journey. Innal insana lafi khusr. Well, asr will always have my heart, will always have my heart, because it's the deepest truth of the human experience. We are born in loss away from our creator. We are born in khasara, but subhanallah, the reason why we are esnul taqweem, why we are elevated, is because we are also born. Our soul has been created to find our way back home and to regain, to revert, to re-energize our potential of all the noor points that we had lost in our travel through the 70 veils as we cross the wombs of our mother. It is this darkness that we carry within ourselves, a primary darkness, the primary soul wound of rejection and abandonment, of loneliness, of being away from our source of nourishment. These primary father and mother wounds, much before life has to happen, because life then only resonates back, reflects back to us the wounds that we already carry. They must reflect, amplify back to us the rejection wound, the abandonment wound. Sometimes it begins with our primary caretakers. Otherwise, it manifests itself in relationships, all kinds of relationships, intimate or with friends or with our children or with any kind of relationship. It is bound to manifest itself. That's the nature of this dunya. It's bound to be this primary wound of being away from our creator. Rejection and abandonment is bound to reflect itself. What is our job? So that means that we are living with this wound. There is an alive wound in our soul, and we're traveling the world with this alive wound. Now, can you imagine the surface of this space is wounded. My soul is wounded because it is away from my creator. That's my primary wound. What thing of benefit will arise from this place of wounding? And we know what wounds look like. We know the fleshiness and the vulnerability and the fragility and the bleedingness and sometimes the infectedness of the wounds. That's the nature of what it is. What benefit, what beneficial desire will arise from this? What beneficial desire? And subhanallah, and that's where, and I know that this is turning out to be a like more, but oh my God, what beneficial desire will originate from this wound? But subhanallah, how beneficial is that desire that originates from this wound? As long as we remind ourselves, I can't trust this desire for what it is, because I know this desire is leading me to understand and to reclaim and to heal a deeper part of me that I earlier had a blind spot towards. Even if it is our desire for a new pair of clothes, or a desire to shift countries, or a desire for life partner, or a desire for world fame and fortune, whatever the desire is, know that you can't trust it. The desire is not for the sake of the desire. And that's where I come into a complete, like I take a different path from conscious manifestation believers, where of course we can manifest any desire that we want, but then we lose out on the barakat of that desire. We lose out on the potential of that desire. We lose out on the wisdom of that desire, because that means, for example, if my desire of falling deeper in love with or my desire of accepting myself more fully arose from my desire to buy the most expensive pair of clothes. I'm just saying that I don't have that desire, but I'm making it up. So if my desire to accept myself as a fakir in tatters, with nothing, with no makeup and nothing, my desire of my soul is to be seen in the raw, absolute vulnerable aspect of me. That's my soul desire. But my actual desire is I want to own a pair of, I don't know, like a Gucci gown. See the potential of the desire. It could be, and because my desire, because I'm a powerful soul, I can get that gown. I can get that gown. But the potential for me to receive and accept myself and to come home to the rawness and the vulnerability of my own soul, when I understand that the reason why I want to dress myself up in this plumage and this fanfare of colors is because my deepest desire is for me to be accepted when I have not a trace of any attractiveness on me. Am I still then loved? Am I still then accepted? Am I still then honored? Without the fanfare of this peacock, am I still honored? In the raw flesh lothra of me, am I still honored? And you see, when this is what we are seeking through that one desire, then basically what we are seeking is, Allah, I do not know another human being who would honor me in this moment without the fanfare of human life, without the fanfare of dunya, without the fanfare that I've been taught to see the world through and to see another human being through. I do not know another human being. Teach me how to accept myself in this absolute raw, no makeup, no fanfare version of me. And it is only our creator who can teach us to do that. But it's because essentially we're then teaching ourselves. It began off from a Gucci gown, but essentially we're teaching ourselves to have this deep, deep, unparalleled and no condition acceptance from our creator, and feel into the power of this, when no matter what, how you look like, no matter what you have, no matter what you're wearing, like, because we like to put on a show for the world in what we're wearing, how we look, or how we feel, how we present ourselves to the world. Imagine in our absolutely non-presentable states, we are honored by not just the creator, but all the creation of his, by the angels. In that moment, can you feel into the absolute power that you feel in your hand and your heart is like, take away everything from me, take away everything. Nobody needs to ever even look at my face for me to be deeply accepted. And that is when we actually begin to heal our primary wounds of rejection and abandonment, because those can only be healed by repairing our relationship with our Creator. It is those wounds that begin to reflect throughout the rest of our lives. And we experience them as grief, we experience them as rejection, we experience them as abandonment, we experience them as loss, we experience them as being alone and deep loneliness and depression. Those are the very many different ways we'll always be experiencing the one primary wound, which is abandonment by our Creator. But if we were to assign a role to every desire that we have, every desire, first of all, and I've made this into an absolute knowing for myself. Every time Madiha has a desire, Madiha first, okay, this is your test time. I'm not going to not want that desire, but I'm going to see why that desire is here. And I'm not going to attach myself to receiving that desire, because I know by now that there is a wisdom that this desire has come with. And this wisdom is going to lead me to places that I cannot possibly go through my logical mind. So I'm going to wait to see what this desire unfolds for me about me. You see how we are wrapping up it's like we were fishermen, and we had as desires, when we want to achieve our desires, we begin to hook a bait on the hook, and we begin to put that fishing rod into the lake. That is the nature of us wanting to achieve our desire. But and then we are at the mercy of, and then we wait. Oh my God, the state of waiting, of when the fish will bite that bait. The state of waiting is insane. It is, oh my God, it's the most painful state, is the state of waiting. Subhanallah, the most painful state is the state of waiting. But that is how we begin to go after our desires. And of course, this is, I'm talking about, I've listed out, I'm talking about an ideal scenario of what going after a desire would look like, right? Which is still, this is an ideal scenario. The less than ideal scenario, I have a designer, put on your running shoes, put on your bandana, throw on that hoodie, plug in those iPods, your earphones, and let's go running. Now, of course, this is not your usual run. This is running after our desire, because we are now war ready. We are now achievement ready. We are now like go ready. Oh my God. So this is the less ideal version of going after your desire. The more ideal version, although none of these are ideal, going after a desire, being that fisherman and just like putting that bait on the hook and throwing that hook in the sea or the lake. But in both of these instances, in both instances, we are exhausting ourselves, because we think we want the fish. We think that's all there is to it, because desire is to catch a fish. We're going to catch a fish. We feel that that there's all to it. And in the other instance, we think we have to get there, whatever that there is, and that there can be a big thing or a small thing. So therefore, we're going to run after it and go after it. In both instances, we are exhausting our resources. The fisherman is exhausting the resource by waiting, which is, as most of us know, the most painful state to be in. And the other person is exhausting their resources by running after things. And why are we exhausting those resources? Are those resources limited? No, we can wait for the rest of our life. We can run for the rest of our life. The resources of waiting and running are not limited. The reason why we're exhausting those resources is because, my God, while we sit in that boat and wait for that fish to bite onto that hook, there is a life that is calling to be led. There are trees waiting to be climbed upon. There is a butterfly waiting for us to notice how blue it is. There is a grape waiting to be plucked from the tree. There's your child holding out his arms saying, Mama. Oh my God, there is a friend who's calling you for chai. There is a moment in your house waiting for you, your favorite chair waiting for you, as you look outside the window, there are moments, there are pearls of moments, there are universes and multitudes of moments waiting for you, saying, Madiha, come, Madiha, come, Madiha, come. That's one way that I'm exhausting my resource, because I'm actually not paying attention to the resources that I have, because I'm sitting in that boat waiting for that fish to bite my hook. That's one way. And the other way is that, did I really want to have the fish? Or was there something else that I was seeking? So not only am I missing out on the alive potential moments in my life right now, as I am waiting for a desire or running after a desire, that's one kind of loss. The other kind of loss is, I have this desire. I know that to eat the fish is actually not the desire. What is this desire here to tell me? What do I now need to know more about myself that I didn't know before? A deeper truth, a darker truth, perhaps. And I'm putting it under the guise of, I want to have a fish or I want to get there. That's just a pretense. What do I actually want, Matiha? What is actually hurting? What do you actually need? What are you actually seeking? These questions would all be lost, would never be asked, if we only were to think, I want to get there and I only want to get a fish. But here's the thing with these questions, these are soul burning questions. The thing with these questions here, we're born to answer those questions. The thing with these questions here, we're born to know ourselves. So these questions would always present themselves to us in the form of another desire or another desire or another desire. And you see, since the wisdom of all desire is for us to know ourselves deeper, if we only ever spend our lives running after desire, we will always be away from the wisdom that we are seeking, because that wisdom is not in that desire. We'll always be away from, and those desires would never fulfill us, you see, because what we are seeking through that desire is not in that desire, it is through that desire. What we're seeking in that desire is not in that desire, it is through that desire. That desire is not the destination. The desire is a tunnel only. It's a road only. It's a passageway only. And the more we understand it, the more beautiful, oh my God, the more beautiful our journey as human beings, when we have nothing even, begins to become for us. An outsider would look at our life and say, oh, what a loser. Oh, you don't have this and this and this. Oh, you live here. Oh, you don't have that. Oh, you didn't do that. Oh, those are the dreams you used to talk about. You didn't get there. What is your role? What job are you doing? Which business are you running? What are your accomplishments? Where are your kids studying? What are your kids doing? What are you doing? That's not what we came here to do. We came here to be. We came here to remember to be through the doing. Doing in itself is never the destination. Doing in itself is not it. But the misleading part of us, and that's why you see, desire is not even desire, the desire, universal desire. That would have still been simpler, because it would have been, hota na ki there is comfort in numbers. Just like you feel more comfortable when groups are walking towards something together. It just feels more comfortable, because then that means that my desire must be valid and my desire must be real, because look, so many other people are walking towards. The nature of desire is not the desire. It is always Madiha's heart desire. It is always Fatima's and Amna's and Malihas and Meher's heart desire. That means desire is the most penetrable defense by the forces of darkness, which is Iblis. you, you know, it would have been so simple had it been the fact that ये desire सही है, ये desire गलत है. It would have been so simple had light and darkness been two different entities altogether. But within one is the other. It would have been so simple had it been said to us, you do this, this is light and this is darkness. This is the good desire, this is the bad desire. But it is within the same desire there is good and bad. It is within the same darkness that is light. You can't have one without the other. So we cannot even vilify desires. So when they say, kill your desires, no, we can't do it, because the desire is my tunnel. The desire, the achievement of that desire is what I would like to release my attachment to. But that desire is welcome. That desire is honored. That desire is beautiful. That desire is my guideline. It is my wisdom. Because the same desire that will help me reach into deeper parts of my blind spots, deeper parts of my self-awareness, that same desire is most susceptible to the forces of darkness, which is Iblis. Because vasvasa is an algorithm, and that algorithm has a host. Like we need a software for the algorithm to be active on. The algorithm needs a host, and the host is desire. But the more aware we are of our own selves, the more stable the host. The algorithm of vasvasa that has the ability to penetrate through into our softwares, that algorithm does not find us because it's not relevant to us. The nature of algorithm, it doesn't remain relevant to us. But because the algorithm is still intimate with me, it already knows me, it will keep presenting different levels of Madiha's deepest heart desire in different forms to me. Making Madiha believe, now you deserve to achieve it. Now you deserve to have it. Now you deserve to have it. You know what they say? That your soul purpose, the reason why your soul decided to come into the world. You know what the soul purpose is by the desire, your heart desire that you still do not have. And I really want us to feel into it. What we most want is going to be unique. We have 5 different individuals right now. I'm the 6th one. It'll be unique to each one of us, or what we most want in terms of an actual desire. Not the feeling, but the actual desire will be very different. You will say something, I will say something, she will say something else. Completely different things that we will want. Unique. Why? Because it's the one thing that we feel we do not have. And it's the only way, it's the only rope Madiha knows, or how to go deeper and deeper and deeper into myself. So my desire is sacred, because in my not receiving that desire is subhan. Because without this rope of desire, which I've been holding on to my whole life, mujhe ye chahiye, aur ye mujhe kabhi nahi mila, not in the way that I want. Without the rope of the desire, I would not have the propulsion to want to go deeper. That propelling force would not be there for me to go deeper. For me, by me not receiving the desire is the karam of Allah upon me. Subhanallah. So I cannot vilify the desire. I will honor it. Till my last breath, I will honor the greatest desire I ever have, because my desire has turned into my soul. The only way, the strongest way, and the most short way for me to find my way back to my Allah, back to my Rabb. Without this desire, I would have been lost. So both the extremes of having no desire or being deeply attached to the outcome of the desire, both these extremes are moot. Because in both of these instances, what are we not doing? We are not finding our way back home. We're not finding our way back home. But once we begin to receive a desire, and we don't question it, we don't say, oh, this desire is pure as it is. I want this. And because I've been working on myself so much, and I know so much about myself, and I have healed this part. We really like to say this out aloud. A lot of us, me included, I've healed this part of myself. I am ready. Oh, dude, if if you've healed a part of yourself and you're ready, then you would have already received what you wanted. It's really as simple as that. That means that by me not having received my desire, I am still working on my wounds. So I can at no point, and no matter how deeply, even when I receive that desire, be sure to know, because remember, desire is a portal. The same portal takes you to Allah, the same portal takes us to Iblis. If we become attached to the desire, it becomes a blindfold. When we release ourselves from the outcome of the desire, it becomes our yellow brick road back home to the wizard. The same desire. But it's when we attach ourselves, I want this. I want it because I deserve it. I want it because I have healed. I want this because haven't I gone through enough? I deserve this now. Bas, enough. All of these, I deserve this. I want this now. These attachments to having the desire know at all times that they're coming from a place of wounding. Because a real truth-based self-worthiness asks for nothing more than what you already have. And the dua, Rabbi inni lama anzalta ilayya min khairin fakir. It never, the truth-based self-worthiness, Allah's base of self-worthiness, asks for nothing more than what you already have. And because you have no idea of what your potential is, and your creator knows what your potential is, then you ask, you release your attachments to all specific desires, even if they are the most worthy ones. Even if they are the most worthy ones, you want attached to that desire because you deserve it, because Allah Ta'ala ने कहा हुआ है कि ये आपको मिलने की जरूरत है, इसके बगैर जो है आपकी चीजें जिंदगी में कंप्लीट नहीं होंगी. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इफ यू लुकिंग फॉर आवर लाइफ पार्टनर्स, अगर आपको बहुत ज्यादा चाहे उसकी, बिकॉज अल्लाह हैज क्रिएटेड अस इन पेयर्स, बहुत ज्यादा चाहे और आपकी डिवाइन बर्थ राइट है, इवन देन, especially then, don't ask for it. Because it is through this, because it is yours, first of all. That's why I'm saying don't ask for it. When, where, how, in this dunya next, we don't know, but it is yours, one. Second is, this is, if you really deeply want it, this is your strongest portal to Allah. This is the strongest portal you will ever have. You can pretend that it's Namaz, you can pretend that it's Roza, and I mean it. You can pretend that it's Zakat, you can pretend that it's even Hajj. And all of those will take you closer, but your strongest portal, that is a game changer for you, is this desire. Because no, even when we, and you'll feel into the truth of this, because जब हम लोग नमाजों में भी खड़े होते हैं, हम लोग हज पे भी जा रहे हैं, हम ये डिजायर ले के साथ जा रहे हैं तो बेसिकली हम लोग कुछ चाहने, कुछ लेने के लिए जा रहे हैं. लेने देने का मामला जो है ना, जहां पे हमें बहुत कोई जरूरी चीज चाहिए ना किसी से, वो बहुत जरूरी चीज becomes our strongest portal to Allah. And so in that way, then love the desire that you have. In that way, then release it back to Allah Ta'ala. In that way, then I said, I know, I see that this is the strongest way that's going to bring me back to you. The search for this desire is it's the strongest portal back home. So I honor it and I stay here and release this attachment to it. It's like, okay, I'm trying to understand a deeper wound. What do I not have right now that I'm seeking in another place, another human being, in another moment in time? What do I feel I don't have here? And the answer inevitably will always be, we feel away from our creator. And it is this awareness, this distance that we're trying to cover through professions and through relationships and through filling our homes with things and our closets with things and filling our bank balances and oppressing people. It's always this distance we're trying to cover, the distance of the 70 veils of the womb. It is always, if the entire human life could be summarized, the entire human life, it would be summarized as such. We're always ever trying to bridge that distance of the 70 veils, the 70 parda between the Noor of Allah, as we pass through the wombs of our mother into the darkness of this world. We're always ever trying to, it's like हमारे पास बहुत ही कोई खूबसूरत pearls का हार था जिसमें 70 मोती थे या 85 होंगे, सुभान अल्लाह. And वो सारे मोती हम लोग सफर के लिए निकले थे और एक एक करके वो उसका हार टूट गया और एक एक मोती नीचे गिरता जा रहा है और हम पैदा हुए अभी और उस स्ट्रिंग के अंदर कोई मोती नहीं है और अभी हम पैदा हुए हैं. अभी तो कहानी शुरू भी नहीं हुई एज सच, बट कहानी शुरू हो चुकी हुई है काफी देर पहले से. एंड द रेस्ट ऑफ आवर लाइफ इज स्पेंट लुकिंग फॉर दोज मोती. ये मैंने कहा, वो कहाँ गिर गया था, वो कहाँ गिर गया था, वो कहाँ, एंड रीस्ट्रिंगिंग दैट string of pearls, restringing it, just restringing it our whole lives. And which is why, subhanallah, whether those are 70 veils or 99 moti, the names of Allah which have been given to us. And I've shared this with you, I think, before as well, where there is a constant nature of desire that will always propel me forward. I have also an equally constant knowing that I have a place called home. I feel it in my heart. I call it the lake light of my heart, which is strong and clear and sure at all times and knows nothing except that वो अल्लाह की गोद में बैठा है, मैं अल्लाह की गोद में बैठी हूँ, बस, that's all I know. और बाकी सब उससे आगे, जिस तरह एनर्जीज को अगर हम लोग देखें ना, मैप करना शुरू करें कंप्यूटर्स के ऊपर, तो ह्यूमन सोल से जिस तरह अगर जब हम लोग ब्रेन वेव्स को मैप करते हैं, हम लोग अपने इमोशंस को मैप कर सकते हैं, तो वो एक वेव्स की तरह ट्रांसमिट होती हैं. जो वेव्स ट्रांसमिट हो रही हैं वो मेरी ह्यूमन लाइफ है. But there is a soul of me that's sitting here constant and real and confident, clear on who I am. And every desire, I'm a wave. There's a wave of that desire. And the nature of that wave, that desire is, I want to find this truth about myself. I'll find, and I'll come back here to the lake light of my heart. You see? Is it important whether I achieve that desire or not? As Allah is my witness, it's not important. What's important is I know where I came from. What's important is I know where my lake light of my home is. What's important, I know that I'm sitting by my Allah. What is the most important thing in the world is I know what home is. The most important thing in the world is I know what home is. And the other important thing in the world is every wave of desire that makes me want to go away from home. There's only a part of me that's ever going away from home anyway. मेरा पूरा रूह तो नहीं गई है ना उस डिजायर के पीछे. बहुत कम लोग हैं अस्तगफिरुल्लाह जो अपनी रूहें बिल्कुल घर छोड़ के, वो अपने घर लॉक करके, एंड यू नो देयर सो मेनी एनालॉजीज टू बी स्पोकन ऑफ हियर, सुभान अल्लाह. बट वो लोग जो उनको उन घरों का, अपने घरों का मालूम है, बट वो नहीं उस घर में रह, वो उनका कोई एक पार्ट भी उस घर में रहने नहीं देते हैं. बट हो नहीं सकता क्योंकि एक पार्ट तो हमेशा अल्लाह का है ना, विच इज द कल्ब. तो वो अपने घरों को अच्छी तरह लॉक करके, उनमें से अपना सारा सामान पैक करके वहां से दूर चले जाते हैं. जैसे कहते हैं अल्लाह की रहमत से दूर होना, जिसको हम लोग कुफर कहते हैं. वो उस अल्लाह की रहमत से दूर चले जाते हैं और उस अंधेरे में, घुप अंधेरे में इतना गुम जाते हैं, क्योंकि उस घुप अंधेरे में इतनी खूबसूरत डिजायर्स हैं और इतनी स्ट्रॉन्ग और कंपेलिंग डिजायर्स हैं, इतनी रीजनेबल डिजायर्स हैं, इतनी लॉजिकल डिजायर्स हैं, इतनी यू डिजर्व इट डिजायर्स हैं, इतनी वैलिडेटिंग डिजायर्स हैं कि उनको बहुत कहीं शायद कोई बहुत ही पेनफुल मोमेंट ऑफ माय उनके लाइफ में, अस्तगफिरुल्लाह रब्बिल आलमीन, में अल्लाह ताला नॉट मेक अस टू बी दोस पीपल, बहुत ही पेनफुल मोमेंट्स ऑफ देयर लाइफ में, मे बी राइट बिफोर दे आर अबाउट टू डाई और दे, आई डोंट नो, अ बिग थिंग उनको एक वो ग्लिम्स, एक याद आती है, मेरा एक घर था, दैट्स इट, बट दैट्स इट, वो एक ग्लिम्स है सिर्फ, बट वो एक ग्लिम्स है. ये नेचर ऑफ डिजायर है, of people who choose to be entrapped by the desires. But the desire in itself of a soul who knows where home is and who's out propelled by that desire with this one intention, कि there is a reason why I have this desire. Let's see where that reason leads me, as long as I know that my return is inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un. So the way that we travel with that desire also then becomes very beautiful and protected. It becomes a way of iman, what we call a way of boundaries. I was listening to this beautiful hadith where Sheikh Umar Suleiman, in fact, was in an interview with another imam, and they were talking about what Sirat al-Mustaqim is. And there was a long hadith they were narrating. There are a couple of things that I remember. It's like when you ask Allah Ta'ala for us to be on Sirat al-Mustaqim, what is Sirat al-Mustaqim? It's a road, but how it's been described of in hadith, whether it's a physical nature of the world or not, doesn't matter, but it's a road. And he says कि imagine कि उस roads के दोनों side के ऊपर दरख्त है, थॉर्नी दरख्त है, ठीक है, और वो थॉर्नी दरख्त जो है वो दरवाजे हैं इनटू थिंग्स ऑफ डार्कनेस, और उन दरवाजों के ऊपर एक टाट लटका हुआ है, एक पर्दा, नॉट अ सॉलिड डोर, नॉट अ लाइक अ साउंड प्रूफ, कोई भी, और वो किसी के लिए भी ऐसा नहीं है. एक कच्ची सड़क है समझ लो, बट सीधी और खूबसूरत कच्ची सड़क है, और पेव्ड सड़क है बट कच्ची सड़क है, उसके साथ थॉर्नी ट्रीज हैं, और उन ट्रीज के दरमियान में ओपनिंग्स हैं, और उन ओपनिंग्स के ऊपर पर्दे डले हुए हैं, और ये सारी ओपनिंग्स टेक अस टू डार्कनेसेस ऑफ द दुनिया, डार्कनेसेस ऑफ नफ्स, the wounds of the nafs, every opening. And so when we ask for Allah Ta'ala to keep us on Sirat al-Mustaqim, दो तीन हम लोग enablement मांग रहे हैं. पहले एक तो ये कि हम लोग उस जगह पे, उस रास्ते पे चले ही नहीं थे, हमें उस रास्ते का मालूम ही नहीं था, ये Allah show me where that place is. The one is to come onto that, but that's not the only thing. Then to remain is the, okay, मुझे उस पे चलाएं. अब वो जब मैं चलना शुरू, क्यों इसकी दुआ क्यों है, मुझे उस पे चलाएं, क्योंकि there is a constant, like I want us to feel like कोई बहुत ही बिजी मेला है, मीना बाजार है ना दोनों साइड पे, And that Meena Bazaar, subhanallah, guys, is customized for each one of us. Madiha ka Meena Bazaar is going to be so different from all of us. Because that Meena Bazaar, the algorithm knows Madiha software, na? That's the waswasa. उसने मदीहा को उस तरह की आवाजें, एक तो खूबसूरत वो लव जो मदीहा को पसंद है, वो शक्लें जो मदीहा, वो अंदर से झांक झांक के भी देख सकती हैं। वो पोइट्री जो मदीहा को पसंद है, वो उस किस्म की दुख भरे गाने जो मदीहा को पसंद है, इसलिए कि कौन गा रहा है, खूबसूरत आवाजें जो मदीहा को पसंद है, जो खूबसूरत चीजें पसंद है। At all points, the dua then is कि Allah Ta'ala, as I'm walking down, I am not invalidating the nature of this dunya, but enable me to be aware enough to understand कि ये जो चीजें मुझे अपनी तरफ बुला रही हैं, और मैं इनकी तरफ अगर खिंचूंगी तो उसमें उनकी कोई हकीकत नहीं है, वो मेरे wounds का खिंचना है, because only my wounds can respond to the calls of a desire which are not for me. Only my wounds, my soul cannot respond to it. My soul does not know that language. My soul does not know and understand or even validate that language. Only my wounds know that language. So if my wounds are in Persian, for example, since we're speaking of languages, all things of Persian nature will call out to me. They will. That's inevitable. And that's barhaq. They will call out to me. ये नहीं है कि वो नहीं होगा. And so no matter how spiritually aware and what alim we are and what like aulia we are, no, at all points, there is a customized calling out of desires. And with all the valid reasons, like any good salesperson would, right? They will give you beautiful reasons as to why you particularly should get that. And they will bring up things that they don't even know about you, but they are assuming you deserve it, yeah. You deserve it. Oh my God, the hard life that you've led, the hard life. You've really deserved this one. So har jo aapka jo dukh hai, that will be turned into a beautiful song. And to keep us on Sarat-e-Mustaqim is the dua. That there's a second part of enablement of walking Sarat-e-Mustaqim, and there is a third part. There's a third part कि मुझे अकेला भी ना छोड़ें उस रोड के ऊपर, क्योंकि मुझे नहीं पता कि मैं किस वक्त मेरा wound कितना गहरा है. I'm not fully aware of my wounds. I don't know कि वो कितना को sensitive और कितना को vulnerable wound है, कि उसमें अगर उसी sensitivity, उसी vulnerability की frequency बाहर से आए, वो match करके मैं उस तरफ खींचे चली जाऊं. So the third part of being enabled to remain on Sarat-e-Mustaqim is, Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, do not leave me alone on my own. Do not leave me on my own. Do not leave me. And this is the hadith in which found me, as it always does before our Quran classes. And it always does. I think it begins to find me like a week or so before, and I save it because I know that it's so beautiful. And the hadith is it's a dua. It's a dua which is in sahih hadith. And it is narrated by Anas ibn Malik. And the dua is, Ya Hayyu Ya Qayyum bi rahmatika astaghith, aslih shani kullahu, takilni illa nafsi tarfat, which is, Ya Hayyu Ya Qayyum, Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, O ever living, O self-sustaining and all-sustaining, by your mercy I seek relief. Aslih shani kullahu, rectify all my affairs. And subhanallah, look at it, was the last part that got to me. Takilni illa nafsi tarfat, and do not leave me in charge of my affairs, even for the blink of an eye. It is this last part that got to me, because Ya Hayyu Ya Qayyum bi rahmatika astaghith, so we've been taught very strongly because it's a powerful invoker. But it's the second part of this dua, subhanallah, the full part of this dua in hadith, which is, by your mercy I seek relief, rectify all my affairs, and oh my God, do not leave me in charge of my affairs, even for the blink of an eye. And so even when I decide that I have the big statement that I make to myself, I have healed enough in this matter. Sure short sign that you're not. One, because healed things don't need to be spoken of. They then become. They just are. They just are. You know, they become a light that lights us up. And it then begins to act as a light for other people as well, but definitely a light for ourselves. But they lose words. When true healing happens, we lose words. because we become that state. Subhanallah. And this dua keeps us in check. This dua reminds us, do not leave me alone to myself, even for the blink of an eye. We cannot trust our desires, you see. We can't trust them. We honor them. Subhanallah, we honor them. We don't become attached to them. That's why we don't trust them. That's why we don't get attached to them, because we know that these are portals for us to reach our highest potential. And without it, we would not be able to reach that particular desire. I would not be able to reach my highest potential. This is barhak. But if I want the outcome of that desire, then know that at all instances, there are 15,000 customized voices and visuals and senses and smells customized for me, so that I become lost in the acquisition and wanting to achieve that desire and never be able to achieve my potential. Not only then will I never be able to find my way back home, and I do mean never, because the nature of desire is a jal if we become attached to the outcome. But if we do not become attached to the outcome, then the nature of the desire is for us to walk on sirat al-mustaqim, subhanallah, with this dua, ya Hayyu ya Qayyum bi rahmatika astaghith, and then do not leave me alone. You rectify all my affairs. Rectify all of my affairs and not leave me alone to myself, even for the blink of an eye. Support me as I walk this road of my desire. Hamari चाह is honored because यही चाह हमें अल्लाह तक लेके जाती है. हमें हमारा ख्याल है हमें किसी इंसान की चाह, किसी चीज की चाह या किसी इमोशन की चाह, बट यही वो चाह है जो हमें अल्लाह तक लेके जाती है, बिकॉज अल्लाह के पास जाने की भी एक चाह होनी चाहिए. So desire is honored. All desires are honored, as long as we don't attach ourselves to the outcome of those desires. And subhanallah, on this, just a couple of things that came to me, where when we feel that, because when we get attached to our desires, we feel that we must do whatever we must do to attain it. It becomes I. Because we know that our soul knows, yeah, nothing else. Our soul knows, our soul remembers that when we want something very much, something that is not Allah, when anything other than going back home, anything, and it's a blanket statement right now, and it's not general, it's not a generic statement, it is a blanket statement, it is barhak. Anything that we want a lot other than going back to Allah, anything else is a step, is a wounded space, is a call for us to look deeper into our wounds. And when we really, really want something and we know this, we self-isolate. We think it is only I who will do this for me. I have to do it. I'm not supported. I will do it for myself. I have to do this. I have to do this. And we distance ourselves from our families and our friends because we're so entrapped by that desire. And in that distance, we're also distancing ourselves from the support of Allah that could have enabled us to get out of the trap of that desire, to set back and realign that desire to its original goal, which is to bring you back home, which is brought to life in this beautiful ayah from Surah Alaq, which is like, no, but indeed man transgresses because he sees himself self-sufficient. Subhanallah. जब हमारे पास डिजायर है, वो मेरी डिजायर है, वो मैं पूरी करूंगी. I will do whatever it takes to achieve that desire. मैं. In all of these instances, I will transgress. And so in that way, my attachment to outcome of any desire is transgression. When I want something so much, even if you are the most disciplined, the most moral, and the most steadfast, and the most righteous of human beings, when you really want something of this dunya, know that you will transgress. Know it as a haq that Allah has written in the Quran for you, Surah Al-Alaq. You will transgress. How, to what degree you do it? And transgress is what? Transgression का उर्दू का अरबिक का word क्या है? जुल्म. और जुल्म हम लोग अपने आप अपनी जात के ऊपर ही करते हैं. अल्लाह ताला के ऊपर से जुल्म हो नहीं ना सकता, वो जात ही नहीं है. तो जुल्म तो हमने आखिर में अपने आप से करना है. और ये सबसे ज्यादा इसकी तकलीफ ही अल्लाह को अल्लाह को क्या फर्क पड़ता है यार कितने उनको सजदे किए जाएं, उनको तकलीफ ही मेरे दिल की है। उनको अपनी उनको why what does he need from me या हय्यू या कय्यूम ever living self sustaining, उनको वो क्रिएटर है, वो क्रिएटर है, उनको कोई चीज की जरूरत नहीं है, बट उनको बट तकलीफ ये है कि मेरे दिल को तकलीफ, ये उनकी तकलीफ। यू सी ही डिडंट नीड टू केयर, बट जस्ट द नेचर ऑफ द क्रिएटर, मैं उनके अंदर से निकल के आई हूँ। मेरे दिल को दर्द है तो उनके दिल को दर्द, उनको बात तो ये है। और वो और ये नहीं हो सकता कि मेरे दिल में दर्द हो और उनको दर्द महसूस ना हो, ये भी नहीं हो सकता। तो एक माँ जैसे, एक बच्चे को चोट लगती है, बच्चा बिलक रहा है, माँ का दिल बिलकता है, माँ के आंसू शायद ना निकले और माँ उस वक्त फर्स्ट एड मोड में हो, पर उसका दिल अंदर से सुकड़ता है, उसका दिल अंदर से ठहर जाता है। ये अल्लाह है। So know that when we are trapped by the desire, any kind of desire, no matter what we've justified it as in this world, whatever we justify, you know that you will transgress. Transgress against what? Against your own soul. You will end up doing zulm upon your own soul. And what does that zulm look like? You will sell yourself for too low a price. You will settle for things that you do not deserve. You will say yes to things that will hurt your soul. You will say, you would not like to say no to things which are in your honor. You would like to go to places which do not honor you, and you will take too long to leave spaces which do not honor you. That is how we transgress. There's no other zulm. It's all about honor. It's all about honor. कि तुम कौन हो और कहाँ बैठे हो, कौन हो और तुम्हारे साथ हो क्या रहा है, तुम हो कौन, see this. And this ho कौन is not from a place of shame. It's from a place of, oh, beta, look at the queen of you. Who are you? Look at you. And so we forget the queen of us. We forget the kings of us as we begin to go after those desires, because the nature of the desire is written as, so whenever we feel I, it is mine, I need to have it, I should have it, I will have it, we transgress. And subhanAllah, with that, another ayah where Allah speaks of, as for he who gives and fears Allah and believes in the best reward, we will ease him towards ease. But as for he who withholds and considers himself free of need, and denies the best reward, we will ease him toward difficulty. Subhanallah. And you'd notice for those of us who are strong manifestors, because we have strong desires and we make things happen by the sheer force of our will, there's always an underlying energy. I don't need anybody. I will do it on my own. This is the nature of wounded desire. This is the nature of wounded desire. And it is, and Allah Ta'ala says in this ayah, it is a difficult path to walk on. It is a difficult path to walk on. So when you have a desire, walk that path. Walk that path with a clear intention that I'd like to discover what deeper part of me, which always leads back home to my creator, is this desire here to show me that I could not see before without this desire. Honored is this desire. Welcome is this desire. And I am free from receiving this desire. The giving of the outcome of this desire is with you, Allah. When I am ready, or if I am ready in your kingdom to receive it, in your ilm, you are the alim, you are the hakim, in your wisdom and in your all-knowing, when I am ready to receive it, let me receive it through your karam. If I'm never ready to receive it, let me never receive it in your karam. But at all times, Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, never let me forget that my path that I walk upon, believing that I'm walking upon the path of desire, any path that I walk on, it now must lead back home to you. Anything away from home is not okay anymore, because that is a place of distress. That is a place of dis-ease. And this sukoon of my heart, this lake light of my heart that I now know to be true and real and mine, because it is a knowing that I have. Under no circumstances, for no desire in the world do I lose this, except for, Ya Allah, enable us to say Shahada when we are exiting our bodies. Ameen, Allahumma Ameen. That is the only desire, that specific one that I'd like to have, because it's, again, my portal back home. Every other desire, inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi rajiun, I release back to you. Any new desire, I receive it with gratitude. I receive it with honor. Show me the wisdom of that desire, and I release the outcome of the desire. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, back to you. हम लोग छोड़ के तो देखें, नहीं, इसका ये मतलब नहीं है, oh, visualize because it's already yours. What you want, if it's a specific something, it may never be yours. And Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. But the fact that you want it is the greatest gift that you have from Allah. Which is why the gift of making dua is greater than receiving the risk, the outcome of that dua. You know, the theme as beautiful benefits of receiving dua. We've read about this. The first one is it's accepted. That means if it is accepted, by the way, if you actually receive the desire because you release it back to Allah, that means कि आपका deeper self-awareness back home उसी desire के through, उसके receiving के through होनी थी. तो ये नहीं है कि हमेशा withhold करके, the two beautiful names of Allah, या काबिद या बासित या खाविद या राफी, and ये नहीं है कि चीजें withhold करके both are बरहक. काबिद उसको या खाफिद उसको नीचे करके, या राफी उसको elevate करके, या काबिद उसको constrict करके, या बासित उसको expand करके. In all four instances, we are receiving our highest potentials, and we can receive them through all four instances. तो ये भी नहीं है कि चीजें जब हमने कहा हमने desire release कर दी तो हमें कभी नहीं चीज मिल जाती थी, but release it to the knowing of या अल्लाह कि हमें नहीं मालूम कि मेरी वो उसको खाफिद के थ्रू मुझे रिलीज होनी है या राफी के थ्रू मुझे रिसीव होनी है, या खाफिद के थ्रू रिसीव होगी या राफी के थ्रू रिसीव होगी. The benefit of that desire, the potential of that desire. खाफिद का हमें इस तरह से आता है कि वो मुझे डिजायर नहीं मिली जिसकी मैंने दुआ मांगी थी, बट वो खाफिद कैसे हो सकता है, क्योंकि उसने जब मुझे वो डिजायर नहीं दी, उसके थ्रू जो मुझे दिया वो या राफी है. सुभान अल्लाह, मुझे एलिवेट किया बाय नॉट गिविंग मी व्हाट आई वांट, बट आई हैड टू आस्क फॉर व्हाट आई वांट to be elevated, and I had to ask for what I want, not receive it to be elevated. That's one state. Then I ask for what I want. Allah Ta'ala gives me what I want, Ya Rafi, and then elevates me through it. That's another state. Both are, but Allah knows who I am. And Allah knows how Madiha will be most committed to remaining on this path, and to remaining on a commitment to come back, come back home, always come back home to Allah Ta'ala in every moment of her life. Allah knows what that commitment is. मेरा ख्याल है कि जब मुझे ये मिल जाएगा तो नहीं, मेरी commitment कहाँ जाएगी? Dude, no, no. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi rajiun. जो आपने दे दिया उसका शुक्र, जो आपने नहीं दिया उसका शुक्र, जो आपने दे के ले लिया उसका शुक्र, जो आपने डिजायर पैदा की उसकी शुक्र, जो आपने डिजायर दे दी उसकी शुक्र, जो कभी भी नहीं देंगे उसका भी शुक्र, और जो दे देंगे और उसको बाद भी उसके थ्रू हमें एलिवेट करेंगे. आमीन अल्लाहुम्मा आमीन, उसका भी शुक्र. इन ऑल स्टेट अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह रब्बिल आलमीन, इन ऑल मोमेंट्स अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह रब्बिल आलमीन, in all moments the karam of you that we are alive and we are breathing, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. In all moments the karam of you that our hearts are alive enough to receive desires, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. And in all moments Allah Ta'ala, Allah का शुक्र, at least हमें वो दरवाजे तो नजर आते हैं जो सिरात मुस्तकीम के हैं. हर तरफ जो दरवाजे एक्चुअली है ही नहीं, जो पर्दे जो टाट लटकाए हुए हैं, which are just a joke really. So वो जो अब कम से कम पता तो है ना कि we are susceptible. At no point how our egos are so like self-sufficient and so cool. Oh, no, I know. Oh, I know myself. Nothing will happen. I have achieved this. I have received this. I am elevated. No point. Subhanallah, until my breath. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin.